Welcome back to the Sentinel Report. Thanks so much for staying with us, folks. Obviously, South Africa's been in the news a lot these last few weeks. Donald Trump has just issued some very, very significant orders. It's not a surprise to me. I used to live in South Africa. I love South Africa. I love the peoples of South Africa. And I'm very passionate about this issue. I've been writing about some of what's going on down there for well over a decade. But most Americans were caught by surprise here. People had really little idea about what was happening down there. And so I thought we got to bring somebody on to break this down for the folks so they can understand what's happening. And Phumlani Majosi, he is an economist, a speaker. He's an author of a book called Lessons from Past Heroes. He's got a lot of experience with international investors on South Africa's financial markets. His writings have appeared all over the place, all the major publications in South Africa. He's been quoted by the media around the world. And he does a lot of good work. He's got a deep understanding of all this stuff. Phumlani, welcome to the program. Really appreciate you coming on. So for the folks in America who really are clueless about what's happening in South Africa, this expropriation without compensation, it's a big deal. And I think a lot of Americans are surprised. Like, I thought South Africa was a free country now. What's going on? What's happening for the folks who don't understand yet what is going on?
Wow, Alex, it's great to be here, man, to be here to talk to you. Yes, this expropriation of land without compensation, it's something that has been quite concerning, especially for people like us who care about, private property rights, stability, because all those things, you do need them for a stronger economy. Now, to give you context, when it comes to this thing of land, over the past, I would say, a decade and a half, there has been this noise by the I would say the far left-wing people, the left and the far left, they have been making this noise that the reason why we have these inequalities we have, the big contributor is that Black people don't have access to land. They lack land, right? And as part of that argument over the past decade and a half, they have been beating a drum about expropriation of land without compensation. In other words, we should adjust the constitution to allow for the government to expropriate land without compensation, right? So after all these noises they've been making, or they've been making over the past 10, 15 years or so, this thing, they put it through the parliament, and then there was a bill that passed. They voted for the adjustment of the laws, so they allow for expropriation without compensation. So the bill was on the table for a long time after it was approved by the government, and then just a few months back, our president Ramaphosa, he signed it into law, right? Because remember, the bill has to be approved by the government, and then the president is the guy who's going to finalize the whole thing and sign it into law. So, and then the president did sign it into law. So it's been quite concerning, because remember, Alex, that the context here is that for about 15 years now, we have had politicians from the left and far left who have been saying we need expropriation, of land without compensation, because we have white people who still control the majority of the land, which is not true, by the way, according to the statistics. So that context is very important, because now, after all these years, you are now putting a law that says that you can expropriate without compensation, which you didn't have before. Now you put this thing through. So there's an agenda here. And by the way, Alex, we already have too many laws, right, that address the issues of land. We already have too many, at least 15 or so, right, of these laws. Now they add more again. What's the point here?
Yeah. And there's another issue that's related to that. They call it the Black Economic Empowerment, where companies
Yes.
are required to hire X number of people based on skin color and things like this. And so I think when Trump talked about letting the Afrikaners come to the United States, it took a lot of Americans by surprise. Our media, as you probably know, doesn't talk all that much about South Africa anymore. But give us some background. What is going on down there? Why would Trump see that as important? And of course, now he has even cut off federal funding to South Africa. And I understand now the ANC is very unhappy with this. In fact, I've heard the word treason thrown out in regards to some of the Afrikaner folks who've come to the United States to try to make noise about these things. What's going on with all this, Phumlani?
Yeah. So let's start with Black economic empowerment, Alex. So Black economic empowerment was, well, now it's called, it first started in the second half of the 1990s, right? It started as Black economic empowerment, and then they changed it later, adjusted the law into broad-based Black economic empowerment. But I'm going to call it Black economic empowerment. All this thing is, it was founded, or it was established in the second half of the 1990s. It's race-based policies, right? That's what it is. In other words, it's saying to companies, to corporates, right? It says when it comes to management, you need to try and achieve, or you should achieve X when it comes to putting Black people. When it comes to certain areas of work, you need to have, you need to demonstrate or to show to government that you are complying with these laws, that you are putting in Black people in certain positions, right? In other words, private companies and businesses, they are being forced by this law, Black economic empowerment law, to do, to employ people, or to promote, or to, how they manage their businesses. It must be done according to these race-based laws. In other words, you need to have certain, according to the skin color. Now, this has been concerning, because what we have seen, Alex, is that over the years, we have seen this frustration amongst the white population, which is a minority in the country. It accounts for less than 8%, Alex, just less than 8%. Yet it is seen, yet there is this idea that somehow these people are controlling the economy. We need to put in the laws so that we push for Black people to go upward in the corporate world. It hasn't been really helpful, right? So this law has been really put forward to try and, at least in their argument, to adjust, to pressure companies to employ according to race. And guess what? It hasn't really worked, because when you look at even the inequality, in fact, inequality has risen in South Africa over the past 30 years, which is very much interesting. And also, second thing, the biggest inequality now, Alex, is no longer between Blacks and whites in South Africa. The biggest inequality is between Blacks themselves, amongst the Black people, right? So you have this big elite class of Black people that has been created by these laws, who have been benefiting from this BE, Black economic empowerment. At the bottom, the majority of Black people, they've really struggled. They haven't gone, forward much. So you have this gap now that has been created by Black economic empowerment. So it has been an sort of a counterproductive policy. Even Elon Musk cannot come through to invest here because of these race-based policies. We've had Aliko Dangote, the billionaire of Nigeria, himself has complained before about this Black economic empowerment, that it makes it hard to invest in South Africa. So it's a concerning policy, and I think it's I have seen it as something that is not necessary, because we can do a lot of things to create opportunities in the country, but it has to be for everybody, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be race-based.
Yeah. And so what's been the response to these orders and these statements by Donald Trump? I know recently Elon Musk made some comments as well. What's been the response in South Africa in terms of the public, and also in terms of the ANC and its partners in government?
Oh, when it comes to the response, there has been, well, I'm on social media, Alex, so I do watch. There has been a huge sort of outrage by many people who are saying, we are a sovereign country. We can do whatever we want, right? So we cannot be told by Mr. Donald Trump, the US president, as to what kind of policies we should pursue. I've been watching the ANC leaders. They keep on saying, we will not be told what to do. We are going to continue with race-based policy. In his recent State of the Nation address last month, President Ramaphosa, I listened to him carefully, Alex. He continued to say that we are going to push ahead with race-based policies. He even proposed what they call a transformation fund, where millions and millions will be put in, by the government. And guess what will that be? It will be for financing of what? Of Black entrepreneurs. That's what they're saying. In other words, the government is going to choose to pick which Black entrepreneurs these millions will be spent on. Do you think that will be efficient? So, I mean, the politicians, especially those on them, and in large part, the politicians, they've been quite saying they will persist on their race-based policies, and from their supporters have been saying we will not be told by Mr. Trump. Now, one thing I need to mention here, Alex, it's very important that there are in my observation, there are very few voices like me who are saying, look, Mr. Trump, Elon Musk, they do have a point. We have been criticizing these policies for about a decade now, since I came out of university, right? I've been critical that we no longer need race-based policies in South Africa. 30 years into our democracy. So there are few voices like mine, right? Most voices in the mainstream media, in the politics, the dominant voices are those who are saying, we need to push ahead with this black economic empowerment that has in fact benefited only the black elite who are largely connected, who have good connections with the ruling party, the African National Congress.
Wow. And where do you see all this going? I mean, is the South African government going to change tack, or is this just going to double down and be mad at Donald Trump and let the chips fall where they may?
You see, the thing is, there's also one thing to mention here, Alex, that you and I never spoke of. There's also the ICJ case where South Africa has accused Israel of genocide at the International Court of Justice. I think that is also in the picture to Mr. Trump, because Israel is a very big ally of the US as well. So that is in the picture. Yeah. How do I see this going? So there will be levels here, Alex, and I've been telling people that what Mr. Trump has done, it was just the start. He just gave a warning with those executive orders. There's more that's coming. Remember, we have AGOA, right, Alex, and we are part of that. It's a program by the US that allows for us, that allows it to be easy for African countries to sell goods to America, right? So that's the AGOA program. There is also, what else? There could be sanctions that could come through sometime later in the year. Mr. Trump could target, I doubt he's going to target the country, but he could target the ANC leaders, right? And I think Ramaphosa, our president, has said, because I definitely can feel the pressure, he has said that he's willing to negotiate with the Trump administration for a new trade deal. And he's willing to go through the process. But guess what, Alex? The Trump administration has shut the door for now. They don't want to talk to Ramaphosa's administration, because I guess it's because they have said they are still investigating. So my point, Alex, is that this was just the start. There's more that could come. It's a matter of negotiations, and we shall see how it goes.
Excellent. And Phumlani, where can people learn more? You got a website, phumlanimajosi.com. I know you're on social media as well. What's the best way for people to follow your work?
I think it's best to check my X account, what used to be called Twitter. It's at Phumlani Majosi. So you'll find me there. That's where I put in my commentary. I also do have my website, phumlanimajosi.com. That's my website. You can also check me on Facebook as well, Phumlani Majosi. That's my Facebook page. I think those would work. Yeah.
Excellent. Phumlani Majosi, thank you very much for joining us today and breaking down what's going on with the U.S. and South Africa. We really appreciate it, and I hope we can talk to you again very soon.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alex. Great to talk to you.